each night in memory, sure I'll see it still. My Burgeo home 'neath the maiden tree hill. My Burgeo home, that heaven of mine. The home of my parents, so loving and kind. I love them so, and I always will. And my Burgeo home 'neath the maiden tree hill.
Good evening. Welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight's stories include: next week is Police Week. The peer helpers at St. John Central High attended a workshop on teenage drinking. New park rates for the upcoming camping season. The Burgeo Bears were busy cleaning up around our community. These stories and more coming up after this.
At Participaction, we're seeing how activity can be a family tradition for the fun of it and more.
Sometimes things can just seem so stressful and out of context, and just taking a walk in the woods brings it all back down to earth for you, like what really is important. I want to instill some of the love of nature that my mother instilled in our family and just carry that through.
Active living from generation to generation, moving your way every day. Participaction.
A few weeks back, the peer helpers at St. John Central High attended a workshop on teenage drinking and drug abuse. 20 peer helpers from grades 9 through 12 participated in a peer drug education program offered at the school. Penny Kennedy was in town to offer the seminar. The 8-hour course trained students to do presentations on decision-making about drugs and alcohol, hot issues and influencing factors, and making decisions about drugs.
After the classroom management section, we're going to walk through the 3 sessions which are in your book, and then this afternoon I'm basically going to be sitting on my honey while you guys are doing up your presentations. I will float around and help you if you need me. I would prefer, if you're not getting up, like I'm not going to do up your flip charts. That's your baby. Don't forget you can get creative. Some of my flip charts, as Kevin probably knows, got real neat little pictures on them. I don't know if there's any on this, but the guy who used to work with me was wonderful at drawing stuff. But you can be creative too. You can draw some things on it if you want to. So this afternoon, we're going to prepare the sessions, and you're going to present it back to the group. Please remember, before you do a presentation in the classroom, you have to have a mock presentation, which means you have to take 30-something minutes, however it's going to take, get some people and actually present like you would in the classroom. So this run-through this afternoon is just that, a run-through. It's not really a total preparation in terms of what it's going to be like presenting. Is everybody clear on that? So I want 4 of you up here. I want you to go through the information, but there will be activities in your presentation that you need to know how to run. And you have to practice that before you go in the classroom.
The Burgeo Bears took to the town streets on Monday evening along with some of the students from Kid Power. Together, they tackled the problem of litter around the town streets. A while back, I had an interview with Jane Robinson concerning the Women's March Against Poverty. The Burgeo innovators are getting involved in this march. invite all. Stay tuned, there's more of This Week in Review still to come.
Look for Summer Active in your community. Active living events from May 3rd to July 28th. Hey, join in. Participaction, the movement for active, healthy living.
Minister of Tourism, Culture and Recreation, Sandra Kelly, has announced changes to the provincial park fees. Changes $15. The grade 12 graduation ceremonies were held at St. John Central High last Friday. MP Roger Simmons was present at the graduation and presented this year's Governor General Award.
Now, a long time ago, right back in 1873, the Governor General of the day established the Governor General's Awards. And there are 4 levels of award. The first level, the bronze level, is for a student graduating from high school. Then you have the collegiate bronze for post-secondary, the silver for undergraduate at university level, and the gold for graduate at the university level. We're concerned with the first of those 4 levels tonight, and one of the members of the graduating class is going to be receiving in a moment the Governor General's Award for Academic Excellence. It's an award bearing the likeness of the present Governor General and his wife on one side, and on the other the motto that he chose for his term as Governor General, which says, let us remember those that society tend to forget. Romeo Leblanc, the present Governor General, I served with in caucus. He was the Fisheries Minister, as many of you will know. A marvelous man, and I'm especially delighted to be able to represent him here for this presentation. I'll be delighted to hear that the recipient of the Governor General's Award for this year for Academic Excellence is Georgianne Collier.
Next week is being observed by the RCMP as Police Week. We visited the RCMP station on Thursday for a tour of their facilities.
This year, Police Week is going to be May the 12th to May the 18th. Every year there's a Police Week set aside. It's an opportunity for the police to meet the general public and to open our doors and welcome people into our office to get to know us, get to meet us, and see what kind of equipment we use, and more or less get to know us, really. This year, Police Week is set aside to acknowledge the contribution and participation of the police and citizens in making our communities safe places to raise our families. The RCMP wish to foster and promote the increased involvement of every citizen to ensure their partnership and input in the policing of their community. The philosophy known as community policing is becoming more understood and practiced with the shared vision of safe homes and safe communities. This year, the theme of Police Week is working together as a community. So welcome aboard. We're going to show you around our office, show you some new equipment that we as police officers have been given, some old equipment that many people are probably familiar with, and we'll answer some questions perhaps as they arise.
Okay, you mentioned that the theme for Police Week is working together as a community.
Yes.
I understand a few weeks back you had the seminar here. How did that go over?
On April 29th and 30th, we had a workshop here in Burgeo. It was attended by close to 50 people from the community of Burgeo. There were several people from Ramia as well. The general consensus from everyone that attended this workshop was that it was a great success. We discussed a lot of community concerns and problems. We got a chance to meet with the teens and representatives of various groups and generally a cross-section of our community. We used this opportunity to discuss local concerns, and we tried to come up with some solutions to these concerns. The general consensus as well was that we should have a follow-up workshop in the fall to make sure that these ideas aren't lost or they don't they don't die. We want to continue to have open discussions and hopefully make this place a safer and better place for everyone. So with that in mind, I'm trying to get a mini workshop here in Burgeo in September. As well, we're having a similar workshop, a 2-day workshop in Ramia. I believe it's going to be the 11th and the 12th of September.
So would this mini workshop just be open to the people that attended the initial workshop?
I think we may consider opening it up to the basically an open invitation for those who attended previously, and for those who didn't get a chance the first time, maybe they would like to come along this time. So basically, come on, come all to this workshop.
Okay, you have some of your equipment laid out here on the desk. Would you care to tell us a bit about this equipment?
Sure. Most people perhaps have seen handcuffs on TV. These are just the standard issue handcuffs that that all of us as RCMP officers carry. Hopefully we don't have to use them too often, and in Burgeo we're quite fortunate. It's a nice quiet community, but if we need them, we certainly have them on us at all times if we need them. This is our portable radio. We can talk to Corner Brook, which is our communication center. Any person that phones into our office, if there's someone not at the office, their call will automatically be transferred to Corner Brook, and Corner Brook has immediate contact with the radio. So that's our portable radio, which is very light and it's very handy.
So what kind of a range do you have with that in the community?
Well, we can talk everywhere in the community. We can talk from here to Peter Strides to Buck Lake, or anywhere in our area, as well Ramia, Grey River, our whole community and our whole detachment area we can use these little radios with. They use a repeater system, which I'm not a technical person, but they work very well. Now next, recently all of the RCMP in Canada have been issued new firearms and new batons. We've all recently received training. These are more or less for self-defense and only to use in the event that the situation is out of hand or out of control. Now, they sort of work, they look small like this, but they expand, and we use these. Hopefully we don't have to use them, but if we need to use them, they're there for our protection and protection of the general public. And last but not least, this is the new 9mm semi-automatic handgun that we've been recently issued with. This is quite a bit different than the old firearms, the old Smith & Wesson firearm, which could fire 6 rounds. This firearm is capable of firing from a magazine of 15 rounds, and we have another 30 rounds on our pouch. So one time, we have upwards of 45 rounds to use. Like I say, hopefully we never have to use it, but in the event that we do need it, it's there.
So why did they change the firearm?
They found that this is a better suited firearm for today's climate, meaning that on the streets of our larger centres, not necessarily Burgeo, but our larger centres in Ontario, British Columbia, Nova Scotia, the mainland, criminals are getting higher power weapons, and the RCMP felt that this was a much better weapon to handle today's policing duties. It's much easier to use. It's a better overall weapon for that purpose.
Okay. Are you going to give us a tour of the
Sure.
remainder of the building?
Well, this is my office. Not too fancy, but we have a computer here, and I've got on the walls here some plaques from the previous places I've been stationed. Over here, we have a set of drug scales that we, anytime that we make a drug seizure, we use these to weigh the exhibit or the drugs that are seized. We've used it a bit lately. Now we'll go out down the hall here, and I believe Constable Butler is in his office here working away. As you can see, all kinds of paperwork, but
Always paperwork, yeah.
it's a big part of police duties. This is Constable Butler. Most of you will probably know John. John's being transferred probably this summer to Stephenville. And next, we have, in this office, we have Constable Byrne, who's busy, as you can see, on the phone. Again, you can see lots of paperwork. Policeman has lots of paperwork to do, for sure. Now, out here is where Judy, our secretary, our detachment assistant, I should say, her office, our computers, our files, file cabinets are there, with all of our equipment. This is our police information retrieval system, or PERS as it's called. All of our crime statistics files are entered onto this system, so they can be accessed nationally across Canada. And over here, we have a fax machine. We have a laser printer, which is hooked up to our computer. This day and age, everyone's using the computer and becoming more computer literate, I suppose. But soon, I don't know how soon, but we'll have computers in the car that we'll be doing all our reports on right from the car. Out this way is the area where we fingerprint and photograph any prisoners or any persons charged. This is the camera we use. The person that actually stands up not too far from where you're standing right now, and we give them a number. It shows the date, the time, and the prisoner number. So that's what we do with our prisoners. We photograph them, fingerprint them. Fingerprint stand or equipment is right up here. That's where we what we use to put the fingerprint forms on, and then we roll the fingerprints on that. Over here we have a breathalyzer instrument. This is used to measure the alcohol in a person's system, should they be found to be driving under the influence of alcohol. We're very fortunate, I believe, in Burgeo that we don't have a high number of impaired drivers. In fact, it's very low in this area, which is very good from a police standpoint. This is the roadside alcometer. It's used by the officers when they're on patrol. Should a person be suspected of having had a few drinks, they can be given this test, and there's three, if they pass, they're allowed to go on. If they fail, they end up coming back to the office here for a breathalyzer test.
So you can't charge someone just on the use of that one?
No. If a person refuses to take this test, then they can be charged for refusal. But just for failing this, no, it's not a charge. This would give us the grounds then to give them a breathalyzer test, which if they refuse the breathalyzer, they can be charged for that. Or if they fail the test and the breathalyzer, they can be charged with that.
Okay, would you like to give us a tour of the police vehicles?
Sure. So as we continue our tour at Burgeo Detachment, we have presently we have 3 vehicles. We have a Suburban, which we use for towing our boat when we have one here. It's a fairly new vehicle. It's a very nice vehicle to for this weather and climate for the winter time. Here we have a standard police car, which again we're very fortunate. That's a very new model, and it's only been recently obtained here at Burgeo. This police vehicle has a radar inside, which in a few minutes now, Dave, we're going to take you around and show you how it works. We'll have a view from inside the vehicle as we're driving around and give you an idea what we look for maybe on our patrols and how the radar works, and maybe a few safety tips as well.
Okay, you mentioned you had 3 vehicles. I understand that the boat was recently taken from this detachment. Is the 3rd vehicle another boat, or?
Well, we're optimistic about having our boat replaced. Hopefully we'll know in the next few weeks with the type of detachment area that we have and the coastal area. A boat is almost imperative to use to get to Ramia and other communities. But no, that's not the 3rd vehicle I was talking about. The 3rd vehicle is our most recent addition to the fleet. It's a mountain bike. We've just purchased this recently.
So what would a mountain bike be used for?
What we're hoping to do, they're doing it in other detachments in Newfoundland and of course across Canada. Our officers and the people that we police have felt that we need to be closer to the public and closer to the people that we serve, and what better way than to go around our community in a mountain bike. I believe, and a lot of people believe, that it knocks down barriers. They see us being more approachable, being on a mountain bike, more visible perhaps. Gives us a chance to go to areas, maybe sandbanks, in areas that we might not want to go in a police vehicle. It also gives good exercise as well. But it gives us a good opportunity to go around Burgeo, Ramia, and be much more visible to the public.
Okay, I understand that there is a new boat stationed on this coast as well?
Yes, some months ago, the motor vessel Simmons, it was in town recently, last week it was in town. It's a large catamaran style vessel. It's presently stationed in Buren, on the Buren Peninsula. It has a crew of 4 members. We needed its assistance last week to go to one of our communities. It's a state-of-the-art vessel, which its cruising speed, its average cruising speed is in excess of 30, and I'm not sure of its maximum cruising speed. It's a very, very fast vessel, and we look forward to using it in the event of emergencies or having to travel to our different communities. It's available to us. Its patrol areas from the Buren Peninsula to the west of us, including Grand Brit.
Okay, you're going to give us a...
The radar that we have in this police vehicle, it works very well. We use it to monitor the speeds of vehicles on the highway outside of Burgeo, plus in and around Burgeo as well. As we're going along, our patrol speed, or the speed that we're driving, should be on this side here. And a vehicle coming towards us, its speed should come up here. So as we go along, should see numbers in red show up on the display there.
You mentioned it shows the speed of this vehicle as well as oncoming vehicles. So does this vehicle have to be moving in order to operate the radar?
No, it's got several functions. It can operate while stationary or operate as we're traveling along. Like as you can see now, we're we're going 30 kilometers, 31 kilometers, which 30 is the speed limit.
Okay, so there's nothing in the other screen, so that means there's no vehicle coming towards us right now?
Yes, that's correct.
So what kind of a range can the radar pick up a vehicle at?
In and around Burgeo, with so many winding streets and whatever, its range is not as good as if it was on the open highway. Several hundred yards at least on the on Highway 480, for example. But around town, like with a lot of the hills and the turns that we have here, sometimes you're quite close to the vehicle before you pick up the speed. Generally speaking, since I've been here, I haven't seen speeding vehicles as a major problem. Every now and then, that's the speed of the vehicle coming towards us. As we're going along, we can see some bicycles on the roadway in front of us. One of the safety tips I'd like to mention to the general public is for the public to watch our children and our older kids or teens on the bikes. Bikes are very popular in Burgeo, and we'd ask that the public consider these people as they're driving their bikes. We'd also like to mention that the operators of these bicycles should obey the rules of the road and are expected to observe the rules of the road.
Okay, the radar makes a sound. Is that every time you pick up a vehicle?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier about bicycles on the road. Is there any other safety tips that you think people should follow?
We would like to advise the public that when they're out driving to watch out for these bicycles. They have a tendency to weave on the shoulder of the roads, and sometimes we have to stop fairly quickly. More so, we'd like to advise the bicyclist or the cyclist themselves that the rules of the road apply to them as well. Like, they're supposed to drive on the same side as a vehicle. They should be on the right side of the roadway, and preferably driving in single file and not weaving all over the road. Basically, they have to abide by the rules the same way as that you and I do when driving our vehicles on the roadways. We'd also like to see them wearing helmets. Helmets are relatively cheap. They've been proven to be very beneficial in the event that children fall, or adults fall for that matter. And I've heard of many stories where people have been saved and lives have been saved because that they've been wearing helmets. Further to that, Constable Butler is planning a bicycle rodeo, hopefully in early June for the residents of Burgeo. Again this year, I think there was one last year, but we're planning to have it again, I believe, on the fish plant, the parking lot there.
What age groups is the bicycle rodeo for?
I'm not quite sure what the age restrictions are yet. Hopefully from the novice or the beginner right on up. Mostly it's for the school-age children, elementary and high school. So that takes in a varied range from, I guess, 4 up to 18 if need be. But it's targeted for the younger bicycle rider mostly.
I understand that as part of Police Week next week, you'll be having an open house at the detachment?
Yes, that's correct. On Thursday of next week, we're going to be having, hopefully, all of the elementary school children at varied times coming through our office and having a tour of our office. So Thursday's been pretty well set aside for our younger citizens of Burgeo. As far as open house for anybody else, we're having open house pretty well every day. Every day the office will be open for anybody, general public, to drop in, say hello, ask questions of what we're doing, or bring forward concerns. Basically all next week is going to be open house. Thursday in particular is going to be set aside for our children, our younger children.
Okay, Corporal Matheson, is there anything else that you'd like to speak about today?
No, I believe that just about covers everything that I'd like to say. I'd like to say to the people of Burgeo, I hope they have a safe and happy summer. Hopefully everybody abides by the rules of the road and makes sure that their vehicles are properly equipped and safety checked. Although they don't have to have them safety checked these days, a quick inspection by a licensed mechanic would certainly make sure their vehicle is in good condition before they travel on holidays. Another thing we'd like to remind the public too, that to make sure that they have valid insurance policies on their vehicle. It's come to my attention that there are a few vehicles in town that may have let their insurance expire. This is a very expensive ticket should they happen to be stopped and fail to have insurance. A minimum fine, I believe, for no insurance is $400. So it's much cheaper to put the money out for insurance and have valid insurance than to receive a ticket from us or from the provincial inspection people. So just a reminder that if their insurance policies have expired, now is the time to make sure that they're valid and up to date.
Okay, Corporal Matheson, well, we'd like to thank you for speaking with us and for the tour you gave us today.
You're most welcome, anytime.
With me today is Edie Anderson, President of the local union executive, and Gord Tucker, Deputy Mayor. First of all, thanks for speaking with us. I understand that you attended a meeting in St. John's on Friday with regards to the fish plant?
Yes, we did, Dave. We had a wonderful meeting, excellent meeting in St. John's. We had one with the federal minister and the provincial. There was the union was there and Belbarry was there.
So what was the nature of this meeting?
Well, they talked about the fish plant, and well, we know from that meeting right now that Burgeo plant will be a plant of the future. But right now what we're, I guess, hoping for is to get some underutilized species from the federal minister and see what allocation that he gives and see what he can come up with until the codstocks return. His plans, he did mention getting a couple trawlers and putting a trawlerman on them from Burgeo to go out and do some fishing and bring it in here.
So Mr. Barry is talking about opening the Burgeo plant?
Oh, most definitely so. Most definitely so.
Okay, so I guess that in itself is enough to say that you're definitely pleased with the outcome of the meeting?
Yes, I'm quite pleased.
What about from the town's perspective?
The meeting was a real successful meeting. I believe in the last one, we told you that the parties was involved was the town, the union, and the provincial government. But we needed to bring the federal government alongside, so this meeting involved the federal government. So everybody just pulling together and having a meeting with all the parties involved is a big step forward. Everyone had to work together on this thing. So, and Barry's right now in Newfoundland. He has 7 plants operating, and he's doing 53% of the fish that's produced in Newfoundland is through his plants. And the only one next to him is FPI, and I think they're around 23%. And out of the 40 plants that's left, they're doing the other 24%. So he's a viable operation, you know, and he's willing to come back to Burgeo and try to reopen this plant.
So is there any talk of an opening date or anything of that nature?
No, not of right now. I guess it's going to take a while to get this thing go through. But in ordinary, for it to work, everybody in this town got to pull together and be pulling on the same string and make it viable and get us back to work.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, like they have no set plan. Depends on the federal government and allocation of fish and different things. And until you get word on that, you know, you can't say a definite thing on it.
Okay, does it appear to be any time rather soon?
Barry's submitted a proposal to the government, and next week you have to redo the proposal and submit it to the government again, and within a week after the proposal, the federal government should be back to Barry's with answers on it. So hopefully something new will develop from this between both parties.
Okay, was there any talk, a lot of concerns have been raised about where the water and the electricity have been off of the plant now for some time. Was that brought up? Any talk about when that would be reconnected or anything?
No, that wasn't brought up, but I guess it all depends on, I mean, like, if he can get the type of species that he's after, I guess he'll come in and work on the plant.
Yeah, like we're not talking about, you know, how much trouble to open the plant. I guess the biggest thing is, can you get whatever necessary to open the plant? And I guess those problems would be addressed later.
Okay, is there anything else that either of you would like to add?
No, it's just that I would just like to say, I mean, like, you know, we got an opportunity to work again, and I just think we should all stick on the same line and everybody pull together and we'll all work together.
Yeah, and Barry's also said, like, his operation in Cancel right now is going at full capacity, and he may even have to add to it. And he said he hoped by the turn of the century that he could make this plant as viable as Cancel, or at least be a second best to it. So, you know, it's positive stuff when people is talking like that.
Okay, well, we'd like to thank you for speaking with us. Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review, coming up after this.
For almost a century, there's been a group of people working hard for Canada, fighting for this country. Now they are uniting to keep Canada together. The Royal Canadian Legion supports Canadian unity.
Off the rack. This week, as we scanned our tape racks, we came across a video of Dick Reeves' first visit to Burgeo. Here are a few highlights from the Miss Come Home Year pageant, May 1988.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our MC, Mr. Dick Reeves. Hello, everybody. I drove the Burgeo Road. Holy cow. Hey, I'll tell you, it hurts. Holy cow. Good evening. Are we on TV? Hi, Mom. Here, get a close-up of this here now. Hi, Mom. Hey, Mom, it's your boy, Ricky. Hi, Mom, I made good, Mom, look. See, I'm not the bum you thought I was, Mom. Good evening. It's nice to be here tonight. Gosh, this is great. I'll tell you something, and I'm going to say this right off the top. And I said it the other day, and I do coming home celebrations every year somewhere. But I have never, and I said this on the air the other day too, and Mayor Murphy asked me about it. St. John's Mayor John Murphy asked me the other night at soiree, he says, what was this you told me about Burgeo the other day? I have never seen, ever, a better organized coming home year calendar than what your committee has for you people this year. The best. The best. Give them a hand.
BBS Playbill. Tune in on Monday at 7:30 p.m. for Peer Pressure, Drugs and You. This video comes to us from the Help Committee. Join us on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. for Pair Trawling from the DFO Video Library. Join Marie, Melissa, and Pansy for Pansy's birthday party, Saturday morning at 11 a.m. And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. If you have not yet made a pledge for the Recreation Commission Telethon, there's still time to do so. The phone lines will be open until 10 p.m. Coming up at 9:30, we'll have the $500 bingo game. Also, still to come is 2 draws for lobsters, the draw for the barbecue and $50 worth of groceries, and the year of free cable. There's lots of excitement still to come. Now back to Dick and Clayt. For This Week in Review, I'm Dave Cooper. Good night.